Davis has joined us. Stefan and Bayer has gone off to enjoy some food in Knightsbridge, I'm led to believe. But Pete, just firstly, good to talk to him, because it must have been very hard for him after what was a very difficult final 10-15 minutes for everybody at the Emirates.
I thought he was on the way to Nando's.
No, that was Mr. Fernandes earlier.
I mean, in all seriousness, he must be absolutely devastated he misses the next 3 games.
Yeah.
Whether it was a turning point, you don't know, because obviously we had the chances right at the end. Jamie Mackie had a great chance, and Granero had a chance as well. But you know, he's very new to the club, and obviously he's a joker, really. I mean, you can see him off air, and he's a really nice person, and that counts for a lot in this day and age. So he'll be feeling really gutted. It gives an opportunity, though, doesn't it, to players like Ferdinand or Nua to come in, and he might find it hard getting back in if we win the next 3 games. So it's not only the devastation of being taken off, being sent off, but the fact that he could now find himself very hard to come back into the team.
Tony, obviously you're here with us tonight, and we really appreciate that. We're going to start at the beginning. You've just been to Nando's along the Uxbridge Road where you were balled up. Why QPR? I mean, you talked about it being an unpolished diamond, I think, when you joined the club. Looking back, why QPR?
Well, I mean, I think it was. I lived down the road, which helped. So there was some link to QPR. But when Bernie Eccleston called me up and Bruno Michel and said, we know you're looking at buying West Ham. Take a look at QPR. It struck a chord because I used to live down the Uxbridge Road. I used to walk past the stadium quite often, and then I came down and I met everybody, and I thought this kind of fits a lot of what I've done in my life, which is taking things like AirAsia, which was a very small airline at the time, and building it into something bigger. And I felt there was a lot of potential in QPR to really take it to another level. And the fans were great, the welcome I got, and the staff were fantastic, so it all seemed to fit into place. It's only about a year ago. It feels like 10.
Remarkable,
already.
isn't it?
But the chemistry was right.
What was your initial thoughts, though? Because Loftus Road is a very old ground. Certainly, I know some of the offices have needed some much-needed work, which has obviously been done. Was there a sense of, this is a hell of a job I've got on my hands here? Or given your background, was it one of those things, I want to grab this with both hands, I want to get stuck in?
The first game I saw was Bolton 4-0, and the stadium wasn't full. There were discussions on pricing, etc., and it did look like a huge job, but it just felt right. And challenges have never daunted me. So onwards and upwards.
I think we're going to get our first caller on air. Jamie joins us tonight. Jamie, welcome to London Calling.
Hi, good evening.
You're through to the team. I guess it's a question for Tony Fernandes, is it?
It's very much a question for Tony. I mean, Tony is an astute businessman, and everything he invests in, he does extremely well. But the question I'd like to pose, on hindsight, does he think the calibre of some of the players that have come into Loftus Road are in fitting with the ethos for a solid foundation for a Premiership club?
Well, I mean, it's early days to say, but we've got tremendous quality in the club, and the spirit. I went down to the training ground 2 days ago, and I've got to say the spirit was exciting for me to see. It gave me a lot of confidence. There's real camaraderie. Everyone's getting together. It is a completely group of new players, and when you see Stefan and Bia, who I haven't spent a lot of time with, and seeing how he is and his whole demeanour, I think it fits in, and it just takes a little bit of time for all the players to gel together, and we certainly have good calibre players. I think you're trying to say, will they all gel together? Will they all play 150%, etc.? But some of them are big stars. I think you're going to get tremendous commitment from all these guys. I think they love what they're doing here. They love the atmosphere, and I think we've made the right decisions. We'll have to wait and see. Nothing is cast in stone.
Did it surprise you, Tony, that before you prepared for a season, did you expect 12 new signings?
No, I mean I didn't expect anything, to be honest. I mean, we knew we had to strengthen some areas, but things just arrived, and they seemed to make sense at the time, so we went for it. I don't think there's any signing that I would say I regretted doing for this season, and I knew if you read some of my interviews earlier on and before the season, I said this is going to be tough at the beginning because it's going to take time for people to gel, and we're playing a lot of the top clubs in the early days, so the pressure would be on. When I saw the fixture list, I thought, oh Christ, this is not the best way to start with a whole lot of new players. But they're professionals. Mark's a good manager, as I keep saying, and we've got good coaching staff. It's there. I mean, there's no game that I felt we have been totally outplayed.
Jamie, obviously they're the views there of Tony Fernandes. Do you want to have a crack at the competition while you're with us?
Yeah, sorry. What was the? I lost internet connection earlier. So
no problem. All you've got a chance to win 2 tickets to Sunday's game. You've got to answer 5 questions about Tony Fernandes, and we have to take your first answer. So, do you want to have a crack?
I'll have a crack. Yes, please.
Okay.
Good
so
luck.
we only take your first answers. In which country was Tony Fernandes born?
Malaysia.
Okay. That's 1 out of 1. In which month did Tony Fernandes complete his takeover of Queen's Park Rangers?
Oh God, I think it was a January. I could be completely wrong.
You are completely wrong. So, Jamie, thank you for calling us tonight. We wish you all the best. Enjoy Sunday's game. January? It's a few months out, isn't it? But we'll let him off. Interesting question. But we'll look back as opposed to looking forward. We're going to look back slightly further. Looking back to last season, there were so many highlights, so many low points. Just give us a little bit of a broad analysis of a couple of those, a high point and maybe a low point.
The high point for me was, it'd be the high point for probably the rest of my life, was Stoke.
Yeah. Last minute dribble
Last
season.
minute season, yeah. That was what football's all about.
Yeah.
And the reaction of the fans, there was a pitch invasion.
Yeah.
I went to the local pubs and got completely smashed. It's the first time I've done that for a long, long time. That was the high point of my time at QPR. And the low point, probably Cisse sending off at Wolves.
Yeah.
Where we were comfortably cruising,
Yeah.
or maybe Joey Barton sending off at Norwich, where again we were 1-0 up, we were all over them
In crucial games against two clubs
games,
in a similar position.
Correct, and we ended up losing them both 2-1. Those are low points for me.
You've been involved in some amazing days in business, in sport, in many of the things you do. But that final day at the Etihad Stadium, I mean, that was all the emotions possible.
I mean, people talk about travelling up to Manchester. I came from Malaysia on the flight. It was the worst flight of my life. Nerves, and you're sitting in a tube where you can't do anything. I arrived at about 6 in Manchester, and I was just a wreck. I was wandering around the streets of Manchester till the game, and at half time, it felt like the world had collapsed. And by the end of it, it was a fantastic feeling right at the end.
Did you have a discussion with Amit in the morning? Because he ended up not going, didn't he?
Yeah,
You told me he bottled it at one stage, I think.
he said he couldn't handle the pressure.
Yeah.
Almost understandable, though, really.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, but it was one of those days that you'll never forget the rest of your life, and for many reasons.
A couple of months before that, obviously, you made a couple of big decisions. Neil Warnock was replaced by Mike Hughes, and you also brought in Mike Rigg, and you said those two are the most important 2 appointments you've made in your time here. Talk us through the process that you went through to attract 2 big names to Loftus Road, because that must have been some task.
Yeah, well, Mark came over to my house. We'd never met before, and we spent a couple of hours talking, and the chemistry was right, and he decided to come. I had to do the selling.
Yep, which you're very good at.
And he came on, and Mike was, that was quite a coup, because it was a few months away from potentially winning the championship with City.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that this was very important because I really wanted QPR players in the future to come through the ranks
through the academy
and have QPR in their blood, which I think was what maybe the first question was all about.
Yeah, very much so.
Why
is that so important to you as a chairman?
Well, I mean, I think it's fantastically satisfying. My whole business life has been, from the music business, to discover someone completely unknown and make them into a star is a phenomenal experience. But to see a young kid come all the way through the ranks and become a star, I think money can't buy that. and the fact that you were involved in creating something special. And I think, that it's different if you've grown up here.
Yeah.
And you've played here all along. It's different. It's different from Stefan Mbia, who comes in now. He'll love the club. He'll work 110%, but it is different if you start
one of your own, isn't it? I mean, Rangers fans, you'll know, Pete. Yeah, we look at Raheem Sterling and the amazing job he's doing at Liverpool now, and it's kind of what if, what might have been with someone like that.
Yeah, a couple of years later, he would still be here, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Yesterday, I was in a train station, and someone came up to me and said, "Are you Tony Fernandes?" I went, "Yeah." And he said, "I'm the man who took Raheem Sterling to Liverpool." Wasn't sure whether to cry, hug him, or punch him out.
And whether or not he was him at all, but yeah, you had to take his word for it. I think we've got John on the line now. Good evening, John.
Hello.
You're on London Calling Live with Tony Fernandes. Have you got a question for the QPR chairman?
Yes, I'd like to ask him regarding could somebody at the club, probably at his level, come out with a statement, a very strong statement, as regarding these officials. The decisions that we've had against us in this last year or so has been absolutely appalling, and nobody at the club seems to be coming out strongly with a statement as regarding this. And to me, like many supporters, are just getting fed up with it. I mean, say I've been supporting QPR for 60 odd years, and I've never known a year like it.
In terms of the decisions going against us and our luck being out, you mean?
Well, this is it. And to me, I think it's high time that someone from the club, i.e. Tony maybe, to come out with a very, very strong statement. What is going on?
Tony, a difficult one to answer, because there is such scrutiny on chairmen, on managers in terms of what they say afterwards, but a very fair question.
Well, no, I mean, I sympathise. I actually had a warning letter from the FA for making a statement. It is, I mean, that's what at the beginning of the programme, it's very frustrating to me. There's a lot of money involved in it. There's a lot more than the money. There's a lot of emotion involved. Fans get really depressed. We get depressed. We can't open our curtains the next day. We feel so down.
Yeah.
And technology shows you the mistake over and over and over again. I can't, for the life of me, understand why the authorities do not want to use technology.
Because it works so well in other sports.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got conservative sports like rugby and cricket.
Yeah.
And yet they are using replays. And for administrators to say, well, it'll spoil the flow of the game, I think it adds excitement. To be honest, people are waiting for that decision. But more importantly, the technology is there.
Yeah.
It's like Phil says, like the Grand National. Would you have someone standing there deciding who's the winner?
Yeah.
Or a Formula 1 race, or the 100 metres in the Olympics.
If they're a dead heat, as they
exactly.
And if you take an example against Bolton last year, when Clinton Hill obviously scores, now that would have taken 5 seconds to sort.
I don't get the argument that some people say, well, we don't have the time for it. The players spend more time talking to the officials after such a key incident than they would just by having one look at whether it's an iPad or a TV screen, just to have a second look. It seems a very strange one.
It's very strange. I mean, I'll take interview with Mark and Phil and what you said, and say, statement. It was a bizarre season, and it hasn't started well for us on that aspect. I do feel sometimes the smaller clubs get sometimes the odd rough decision. But this controversy is going to continue and continue and continue, because referees are humans as well.
Yep.
Until someone has the guts to come in and bring in video technology. It's there. It's like saying, let's not use cars and carry on with bikes.